Well, we're here at the TokenizeThis conference 2025 in New York City at the Glasshouse. This is day one, and we already have an interesting interview here because we have both, or all three rather, an issuance platform, the blockchain, and the actual issuer. So guys, let's do a quick round of introductions. Thanks for joining us. Maybe start you here with Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack Bronson, head of partnerships at Redbelly. We recently announced a partnership with Raze Finance over here, who's offering Terry's Ferrox token. I'll let them kind of dive into that.
Okay. Hi, Terry. Duffy, chairman of Ferrox Holdings. We are the, I guess, underlying issuer of the hard asset, which is a mining asset, real mining, not crypto mining, in titanium specifically.
Nice.
And we join forces with Redbelly and Raze, and it's a pleasure to be here today.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jack. And thank you, Terry. I'm Tim Stoddart. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Raze Finance and one of the founding team members. Raze was purpose-built to help companies, funds, asset owners tokenize their assets and put them on a pathway to raise capital against them, typically through a securitization. So this is a project that we are super excited to be working with, and
fantastic.
More.
No, this is great. So you mentioned titanium. Tell us a little bit more about. There's a brand new offering, by the way, available on Raze on the Redbelly chain, and I do want to dive a little bit into what the offering is so the audience gets familiar with it. But tell us about how it relates to titanium and why this area is focused for you.
Yeah, so we're calling it a ferro token for kind of a pun on the name, Ferrox, but it's FerroTitanium. Okay. It's an alloy as opposed to pure titanium metal, but it's a very high grade, very expensive, very difficult to make. But we have cracked that metallurgical bond, and with that, every token is backed by 1 ton of FerroTitanium, and as it's sold, the Ferro token is redeemed, and the interest rate, it's a yield of 20% annualized.
Wow, very nice. And are you finding that the titanium is easily sellable to be able to meet that yield, or how does that happen?
Plenty of buyers. They're backing up the trucks at our smelt facility in South Africa as we speak.
I love it. Awesome. So I do want to take a step back. Again, it's the 3 different pieces to a primary offering here. And I did want to ask, how did you guys come together? How did you choose Raze and Redbelly? Maybe we can, whoever would like to start on the story there.
Maybe I could probably do that. So this was a project that was supported by a tremendous number of folks that are not here. So I want to shout out to them. Thank you very much. Not any of this was easy. So I met Terry a few years back, and we kindled a relationship and started talking about some of the financing needs for Ferrox Holdings and the mining operation in South Africa. We worked with him over the course of time trying to find the right type of offering, and fortunately we didn't do anything right away because we would have missed this opportunity. It took a little bit of time. Over the last 2 years, I think 2 years ago, this was not something that people were diving into the deep end with their hands behind their back. So in the metals industry, and I do have a little bit of experience there, tokenization is not a foreign concept. They've been trying to leverage tokenization at the large mining level. And with Ferrox, though, there would be sort of a mid-sized mine. And so access to capital, finding investors that are willing to put money into a South African company or through his holding company in British Virgin Islands, you have a couple of issues there. Cross-border investing, that provides a lot of friction. And because we wanted something that was short duration, high yield, that made it extremely challenging without using tokenization. So Terry called me one day and said, "Hey, Tim, I was just talking to some folks in the mining industry, and they started talking about tokenization. I think we need to talk." And I knew then it was time. So one of the most important things, however, is tokenization could be just a utility. You can tokenize anything pretty easily, but is it fit for purpose? And so when we look at underlying chains to support a project, it's super important that they actually will deliver to that objective, and ergo, Redbelly. So I'm going to
And that's the perfect transition. Yeah, tell us more about how Redbelly came into the picture.
Yeah, so I actually had the pleasure of meeting Tim all the way back in February. But we got together, and really Redbelly has been focused primarily in the Australian market right now. It was born out of the University of Sydney, backed by the Australian research and development arm of the government. And one of the primary goals was to expand broader access to international assets, as well as tokenization platforms in the United States. And so it was kind of a match made in heaven, having both Tim and Terry kind of enter the picture from there.
Very cool. So what is it about? I mean, there's hundreds of blockchains out there. Tell us a little bit more about Redbelly and what differentiates it in terms of suitability for the offering.
Yeah, so we want to make it really, really easy for Terry and Ferrox to issue that assets. And there's a lot of regulatory hurdles that come into play when we're talking about like financial assets, when we're talking about kind of some of these more niche bespoke products. And how do we get broader accessibility to it? And so one of the things that we do is we KYC at the network layer, so that Terry, when he's making the big decision to go on chain, where primarily most of the transactions for these kinds of assets happen off chain, he has a level of comfort and confidence that all of the network participants are verified, all the businesses that are also operating that we're putting in front of him for different composability kind of opportunities, that they are real businesses, and there's a layer of accountability.
Yep. Very interesting. That makes sense, right? Because you want to make sure that we're maintaining regulatory compliance and whatnot, and obviously having that on chain also enables a bunch of other things, by the way, because you can expand this into DeFi eventually. But before we dive into any of that, I did want to ask, Tim, you earlier mentioned the timing, right? Was kind of important. What have you guys seen in the tokenization space in the last couple of years, really for anyone that would like to take it, and where do you see it now that there's a new regulatory environment that everyone's aware of, there's a new, a new SEC and whatnot, but what are you guys seeing and excited for?
Well, I'll start with that one. So Raze was founded in May of 22, and for those of us in the industry, we remember that crypto winter was the fourth quarter of 22. So what we built, we almost had to paint over with Web 2.0 paint. We were a web or wallet connect platform. We were about as native as you could get into the Web 3 for what we were doing. And that just became a little unappetizing. So we did have to pivot a little bit and served 88 issuers finding their early stage capital. And then I think it was really the tipping point would have been BlackRock. And all of a sudden, Larry Fink saying that this isn't going to kill you. And we knew this was going to eventually happen. They just wanted to get a little bit ahead or catch up in the game. Yep. So for us, this has been a tremendous opportunity where the institutional adoption has actually started. There is not one bulge bracket bank in the business that doesn't have a blockchain group that's not working 24/7 feverishly to be competitive and capable in this world. So that is super exciting. I think it was probably last July, we said, you know what, we see this coming, and we took the Web 2.0 paint off and opened up our platform for RWA tokenization and inevitably securitization. This offering is a live offering. It's available around the world right now. It is also available through a Reg D private placement offering in the United States to accredited investors only. We are able to generally solicit it, so it is on Ferrox's website.
Very nice.
But we are not aggressively marketing this first round. It's a reasonably small round. We want to make sure that it is set right. The people that are interested in this are looking for yield-bearing assets that are real assets, not black boxes or printing presses. So the opportunity now and looking forward, we don't see the resistance points. I think with the change in administration, there's a lot of optics that look a lot better, but the rules haven't changed that much.
Right.
But we understand where this is going. And so I can't say how happy I am.
Totally with you, and you're right. From a regulatory perspective, I mean, the securities laws have been there for decades, so nothing has changed. It's more so a couple, details in there, and maybe some wording also for compliance departments, especially institutional levels, to get comfortable. The securities laws are pretty clear cut. Terry, you come from a TradFi kind of experience background. What has your experience been, seeing tokenization evolve? And now that you're an actual issuer, you are tokenizing an asset. What do you think that the role plays for this offering and maybe future offerings?
Yes, well, it is fortunate for tokenization to come to this point. Also, what we're producing is a critical mineral, and it's all in the press. We know what the White House is talking about, rare earths and critical minerals, and this gives access to global investors to products and streams of cash flows and yields that they wouldn't normally ever be able to find at all. But we have multiple other style tokens that we can envision that we're working on right now. We have multiple products with this mine, and we have multiple other assets that we'd like to develop. So that's going to take on a whole new level of idea sharing, and how we're going to take advantage of that too.
Very excited. Yeah. I can see this expanding, as you mentioned, multiple assets, right? But then from there, it's like, well, what if you could start creating structured products or an index based on, the multiple offerings eventually, right? I think my gears are turning because I'm excited on what you're doing here and how possible this all is. Because if all of that is tokenized, it's easier to move, it's easier to rebalance and so forth.
And being on various crypto exchanges, you could be trading these in multiple fashions, different cryptocurrencies, stable coins. The world is your oyster.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Jack, tell us a little bit more about kind of your journey as kind of the blockchain and being involved in an offering. What are you guys looking for at Redbelly in terms of assets that you want to be tokenized on your network? I'm pretty sure all, but
everything under the sun.
Yeah, right.
Like before we go into that, I just want to touch on one thing. We're very excited about giving more participants broad market access to new products. And one of the things that I think is the timing was just right, as you said earlier, in more ways than one, right? And a year ago when BlackRock said they were tokenizing this, it kind of kickstarted, tokenizing the Biddle Fund. It kickstarted a tokenization kind of gold rush, right? Where a lot of folks were tokenizing a lot of assets and just everything was coming on chain. But it was an interesting time because when do fixed income products typically do well? And most RWAs are kind of have a yield bearing component. Is actually during a bear market.
Yep.
And the predominant sentiment at the time, and you get mixed ideas now, is that we're in a bull market, right? And so, but now that there's a level of volatility that's entered the picture for various reasons, but that means that there's an opportunity to diversify. And I know in the crypto space, risk management isn't like a kind of the predominant way of trading, but for me as an investor, right, it's really important to have the option to go into other assets that are truly backed by something in the real world, not just compute or a meme or something like that, right? But yeah, I mean, in terms of the process for like where does Redbelly kind of fit into the picture here, is really we just want to make it as easy as possible for the Raze finances of the world to do business, for Terry, right? To bring all of the necessary partners and components into the picture so that both of these folks can achieve their goals. Because really what we see is, servant leaders, right, in the space here where we can provide more value to them. The more likely more assets will come onto chain.
Makes total sense to me. We're years ago, STM started in 2018. Before that, our consulting arm STA, and back then there weren't any tokenization engines. Not really. You kind of have to like customize the dev shop and make it work. And then they had some tokenization engines, but you guys are really making it a lot easier for people to your point, tokenize a lot more easily and crank them out because there are existing assets, existing value. So when market dynamics kick in, especially in the crypto market and volatility, it's like, well, no, you have an actual NAV or related, appraisal if it's real estate, stuff like that, to kind of back up the asset itself. But curious, now let's talk forward thinking. Where do you think we're going to go from now to, say, the next 5 years? Whether it's TradFi, crypto, adopting RWAs, whatever your thoughts are, but curious what you think the evolution will be.
That's right.
I'll take that one on. Having started on traditional Wall Street in September of 1986, don't do the math. I'm a little biased on the TradFi side, but I do believe that we're going to see to me, this is like standing on two tectonic plates that are an ocean away from each other, and it's very awkward feeling. Those tectonic plates are coming closer together, and that would be TradFi and the world of DeFi. I absolutely see a path where each of those worlds combine and optimize what can be done for global capital markets.
Yep.
And access, democratization, and all those things come to be. And we have a clear pathway to get there. There's an awful lot of work being done in the public markets to make sure that they can all work together, because they have to work at the same time.
Yep.
In the private markets, nobody can stop us from doing this right now, because you still have to do everything to be compliant with what you're doing. So we wanted to start simple so that we could build upon it. We have done that already. We've done our first tokenization with Ferrox. The future, we're looking to do all the things that you can do with DeFi. We are looking at stablecoin or stable token solutions to support the ecosystem, additional metals production, supporting other mining operations through this platform, and the things that can then be done, I don't think we've even contemplated yet. Being able to use the Ferrox token or stable token for collateral, being able to loop it, being able to do all these other things that everyone wants to do, which I say we will, but we're going to do it in the right sequence so that we don't get too far over our skis.
Makes total sense to me. Thoughts, Derek?
Well, similar. I started in the at Wall Street back in fall of '86 as well. But to see the transition in finance and the changes, and junk bonds weren't initially acceptable until it got to mainstream. And you can see now, this is just fabulous what's going on in the whole crypto world. Has gone mainstream as well. In fact, I remember trying, I want to say back in 2012, we had a gold mine, and we were trying to list an ETF against that gold mine. And as the vault filled with gold, the ETF should go up and that, but the regulatory hurdles, everything, just couldn't get it through, couldn't get it done. But now, not only have we done this, and we've done all the hard work of infrastructure, the token creation, Redbelly systems, all of that, and then of course it's backed with a hard real life asset that if someone wants to pick up a ton of FerroTitanium, I suppose they could exchange it. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but it would be similar to a gold backed token and this and that, which now I can just see this just very rapidly taking off. Very excited.
Makes total sense. Again, collateral mobility is everything, honestly. And tokenization is kind of a tool to enable that. At the end of the day, it's really just an upgraded operating system. Jack, how about yourself? Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, and so an understanding of where we're at right now. So the offering's available to global retail. Why is it not available to U.S. retail? Like, you need to be an accredited investor, right? And as a self-identified future billionaire, that's not fair to some of my friends.
That's the first time I've heard one of these. I like that.
But I think the future state, right? There will be the predominant sentiment that I'm getting from kind of the political sphere is that we need to measure investor protections with what the potential of this technology can unlock, right? And I think what that means is kind of lowering the barrier in terms of accessibility while increasing kind of the scrutiny and diligence of it. And that starts with representation in the right rooms, as well as kind of an understanding of kind of the assets that are coming online. But I think that will be a massive unlock. We're already seeing secondary markets open up for security tokens and assets of the like. And I think we'll start to see more and more of that as more folks get licensed and there's more regulatory clarity.
Makes sense, right? And I think on the accreditation side, it would be helpful, and there have been a lot of asks, to have a lower barrier to be accredited or an accreditation test. Yeah. But I think, the SEC has, 4 crypto roundtables that they're hosting. One of them very specifically focused on tokenization. Hopefully that helps, stimulate a few more ideas. But I'm personally bullish on the forward progression of our regulatory clarity here in the U.S. side. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for being at TokenizeThis, for coming here. I love that we're diving into the token offering. Tell us, for anyone watching, where they can find it and how to follow each of you.
Well, on our website, which is www.ferroxholdings.com, We have a tab that has the Ferro token symbol, $ FETI 70 on it. Just press on that tab and the information is provided to you there.
Beautiful. How long does it take to invest, start to finish?
We've actually done it, and I would say after the paperwork's signed, you connect your wallet in like 10 minutes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Actually, it's a pretty slick process, fully compliant, but you will go through KYC, connect a wallet, do your due diligence, purchase your token's delivered to your wallet.
Is this KYC on Redbelly? Like,
I believe, are in that direction.
We're working towards it. I think we're working towards that. Cool. And I think the goal right for now was to let's get this live, because like we said, timing is very important of these things, and we're very excited to partner with Raze and kind of have some of these innovative initiatives going forward.
So there's your answer there. But so very, very low friction to get invested. Settlement with USDT. Of course, you could take a wire if that was what somebody desired. Would prefer that they did it a little quicker with the USDT. And this is a private placement offering, and there will be token purchase agreements that are sent for signature that will be done. No one would be able to redeem that token until they've been accepted as an investor and duly countersigned. We are looking in the future for some jurisdictions where somebody wouldn't even need to sign a doc, that they could click and acknowledge and accept and evidence their signature that way. We also know that we can work with non-accredited, non-US, and we are looking at delivering a product that could go down to smaller investors.
Nice.
Outside the US.
Makes sense. We got to start there, and then the US will catch on if we can on the retail side.
Absolutely. Well, we're very happy to make this available, and as you say, it would be great to streamline it for Americans as well, to be able to invest in these products too.
Makes sense. And Jack, you got the final take here.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you so much for setting this up. Tokenized, this has been phenomenal so far, and we're early on and excited for the rest of the event. And thank you both for taking the time to chat today. And yeah, I think find us at redbelly.network. If you're interested in partnerships, if you're interested in kind of how the meat's made, and I'm always available as well on Twitter at jboogieyaf. But no, I think the soup to nuts of here is we're very excited about the prospect of Raze Finance and Ferrox and bringing that sort of asset online. And we kind of alluded to it a second ago, but we're actually launching verifiable credentials. And so think of it like a digital passport. In its initial phase, it's going to be mostly like the KYC. So let's say you're interested in KYCing via Raze and to invest in their token. That will enable you, that will live with you in your wallet, and you can more easily access the entire network.
Nice. So on-chain identity, which I think is something that's also growing fast, actually. So this is fantastic. Great to know. And hopefully we can track the Ferrox token on stm.co soon enough.
That is the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you all. Again, anyone that you think should be, checking out this offering or working with any of them, please go ahead and point them their direction. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.